Caitlin Clark may be familiar to you as the power that is unstoppable on the basketball court, taking control of the WNBA and changing heads with her record-breaking performances. However, what if I informed you that she's currently making, in a very different sport, waves? You heard correctly, Caitlin Clark entered the golf course, and there is nothing brief about what she is doing of astounding. She was recently seen at the WNBA Pro-Am. The competition has drawn criticism from supporters and even the most experienced golfers, completely unable to speak.
There we go. Yeah.
I'm next.
Yes.
1, 2, 3.
All right. This is awesome.
Imagine, this WNBA standout isn't merely experimenting and golf, but displaying abilities comparable to some among the top amateurs, and she's performing with a degree of assurance that yells, "I can master any sport." I wonder why there is more noise surrounding her, more than before, but it's not just about her unexpected talent, it's about her changing the definition of what it is to be a multiple sports athlete. So let's get straight to the point. Starts in Florida's Pelican Golf Club, where Caitlin became a member of the esteemed Pro, an occasion organized by none other than the mythology of Annika Sorenstam in women's. Playing golf with the top player in the world, Caitlin Nelly Corda didn't simply participation. She enthralled audiences, crowded the event, giving it a more like the final day of a major event, compared to a casual Pro-Am by 7 o'clock a.m. The vitality was electrifying, and fans are lined up to sight of her, and the events that transpired was nothing less than remarkable. From the moment she took it, was obvious Caitlin wasn't present to make sure she's not a professional by playing casually, but her presence on the course as a golfer was magnetic. For the initial holes, showed a player who, despite his imperfections, had a firm understanding of the game. The approach shots came down smoothly on her putting, and greens were remarkably sharp. But let's not mince words. Were chaotic situations too early in her life? Caitlin turned around and pulled a drive that barely avoided colliding with a bystander and splashed for a moment into the water hazard. Immediately, you could sense the strain in the strain of performing in air in front of so many people arriving at her.
From the standpoint of understanding the impact that she's had not only on golf but women's sports in general, played in a men's tournament, it's pretty incredible. Just like one of those trailblazers, and challenges herself every single day, but also just like the joy that she exudes.
However, here's what Caitlin is about. Instead, Clark thrives under pressure of allowing the incident to throw her off balance. She recovered with a remarkable iron stroke that brought her ball within inches for landing of the pin on the hole immediately after. Its resilience that one would anticipate from a person accustomed to sinking buzzers beaters in basketball games with significant stakes. What makes Caitlin's golf game so intriguing? Her versatility in the game is evident. Plays golf with the same attitude. She adds accuracy to basketball, strategy, as well as an unwavering competitive spirit. Made a long putt on one hole, about 20 feet away, and the audience burst in. Even the experts in her group applauded. Couldn't resist admiring Annika Sorenstam herself made a remark regarding Caitlin's. Her inherent athleticism indicates that she has the. It should come as no surprise that a champion thinks she is talented in multiple sports. However, not everyone was overjoyed about Caitlin is taking center stage. Conventionalists in the golf industry wondered if her involvement was a diversion from the actual contest. Some even claimed that she surpassed the professional golfers in popularity. Their lives had been devoted to the sport. You're right, but here's the refutation. Caitlin's involvement brought about a hitherto unheard of degree of observation of the Golf Channel tournament, changed its schedule to highlight her rounds, beginning with 90 minutes of coverage, an earlier than normal surge in viewers. Many of them may not have even paid attention to a golf competition. Otherwise, it was unquestionably demonstrating Caitlin's star power. Moreover, there is the influence she had on the supporters of a large portion of the audience. Was about more than just golf, it was about observing a moment in culture. Caitlin Clark, a basketball superstar, was now demonstrating her abilities and impact could go beyond sports fans' admiration for her, from hole to hole generating an ambience that was more reminiscent of a playoff basketball match as opposed to a peaceful day on the. Of course, she posed for and signed autographs for pictures, and even paused to explain how her passion for golf. My father first introduced me to golf when I was youthful, she remarked, her smile illuminating the audience is something I've always liked, but I never imagined that I would be playing with legends such as Nelly and, speaking of legends, Caitlin's Annika, collaborating with Annika and Nelly Korda. So Renstam was a tale unto itself. Are females who have attained the highest level of golf, and they were now exchanging with a basketball player, of course, but what? It was not the contrast that was striking, but rather the friendship. Nelly is renowned for her serenity, manner, and the laser-focused game. Clearly impressed with Caitlin's skills, must adjust to the intense pressure surroundings. She's a born rival. You can see it in the way she said Nelly goes into each photo. It's not about being flawless, is all about being resolute, followed by Annika, who joined the back nine with Caitlin. It was like watching these two interact, observing an exhibition in sportsmanship. Annika is always the guide, provided advice and support while, like a sponge, Caitlin absorbed everything. The high point of their collaboration was when Caitlin hit a perfect shot on the 12th hole. Difficult putt after adhering to Annik's suggestions for interpreting the green. It was a brief but precisely encapsulated the essence of the instructional day, expanding and pushing limits by At the conclusion of her round, Caitlin had not just earned her classmates' esteem, but she also rekindled discussion regarding the athletes' crossover potential. Could Caitlin Clark is opening up new opportunities. Multisport stars. Is it worth asking? Thinking back on her Anuka performance, wasn't an isolated incident. Rather, it was a claim. Caitlin demonstrated her talent, diligence, and a readiness to take risks outside your comfort zone can result in remarkable outcomes. So let's not get Caitlin comes first before us, and she's a basketball player first and foremost. Made it apparent that her heart is with the WNBA's entry into the golf industry has established new avenues, and fans are already considering what she might do next. Will she keep taking involved in pro-am activities? Would she be able to participate in amateur competitions? There are countless options, and having known Caitlin, she's most likely already preparing her for her next task. Caitlin Clark's first round of golf at the Anuka Pro-Am has sparked a conflagration of responses, discussions, and opportunities from her proficiency on the Ripple course. Her global appeal has resulted in. There is so much more to explore in this lengthy investigation. We'll delve further into the consequences of her performance, the difficulties of participating in two sports, and the wider influence she's exerting on. Let's continue the women's athletics adventure and find what Caitlin's golf adventure in the context of sports. The way Caitlin looked at the Anuka wasn't merely a fleeting sight, it was a decades-long societal revolution for women's sports have fought for recognition and frequently eclipsed by their male peers, but Caitlin's celebrity status is changing that story to reflect her capacity to attract large crowds and media coverage. To a golf competition, a sport in which she's a relative amateur, is evidence of her influence. It also emphasizes the unrealized possibilities in women's sports. Given the appropriate platform, one of the most notable features of Caitlin's her performance was what kept her possessed in a sport that is infamously hard. Golf isn't solely about strength or precision, is a game of the mind that demands patience, flexibility, and focus. Considering Caitlin is used to the basketball's quick-paced motion, the golf's slower, more methodical cadence provided a unique challenge, and yet her act was easily modified when she was playing on the back nine. In addition to Annika Sorenstam, specifically giving Annika a 10-time a living legend major champion is in the sharing the course with her in sports would be frightening to the majority of gamers, let a basketball player playing golf by himself. However, Caitlin approached the situation with her characteristic assurance when Annika provided advice on how to read greens. While honing her posture, Caitlin listened carefully, taking in every word of guidance like an experienced professional. By the end, Annika was full of appreciation for the round, for Caitlin's poise and inherent athleticism, which brings up an intriguing ponder whether Caitlin's basketball heritage truly gives her a competitive advantage in, at first glance, golf and the two sports. Basketball couldn't be more different. All about quickness, agility, and explosiveness motions, but golf demands accuracy, stability, and self-control. But when you go a bit further, the similarities become evident that both sports require a keen awareness of spatial consciousness, the capacity to execute under duress, and with a resolute concentrate on the current assignment. Caitlin's achievement on the basketball court has certainly gave her these abilities that translate astonishingly well to the golf course, but doing exceptionally well in. There is more to two sports than just transferability. Skills. It takes commitment and patience. Like basketball, golf demands a lot of. Caitlin had to practice for hours in order to master, who is already managing the responsibilities of finding time to play golf while pursuing a WNBA career. It would truly be a historic challenge, but if someone is motivated and resolved to make it happen, it's Caitlin Clark's capacity for equilibrium. Golf and basketball reflect a broader. In contemporary athletics, the emergence of multisport athletes in the past been urged to focus on one sport at an early age with the notion believe concentrating in just one field is the secret to achievement, but Caitlin is contesting that idea and demonstrating that POS can be successful in a variety of arenas. Her tale is inspiring a new generation of athletes to accept adaptability and discover their complete. Naturally, not everyone has the potential to join Caitlin on her multiport journey. Critics contend that her attempt to play golf is a distraction from her basketball profession, in which she is already They're concerned about generational talent. Dividing her attention could make her performance on the court. These issues are not wholly baseless. History is filled with instances of sportsmen who attempted to balance several sports, but was only able to observe a decline in their performance. But Caitlin seemed unconcerned by the doubters. In interviews, she has underlined that her major priority is still basketball, and her golf endeavors are merely a means of challenge herself and enjoy herself. While I'm more of a basketball fan in the off-season, more than anything, she stated following I like playing golf in tournaments, but that being said, it's not my primary emphasis. I'm constantly searching for methods to develop and push myself, and playing golf allows me to many challenges that make Caitlin's story is especially interesting is the way it's changing the dialogue. For years, women have been involved in sports. It has been difficult for athletes to respect and acknowledgement, even in sports such as gymnastics and tennis, where women have attained a notable level of visibility. Inequalities in the media are common. Opportunities for sponsorship and coverage and total support in contrast to sports for men. The broad appeal of Caitlin is assisting in gap in her appearance at the bridge. Annika introduced a completely new audience, many of whom were perhaps new to women's golf. Watching her for the first time, the LPGA, which has historically had difficulties to garner public interest, greatly profited from Caitlin's involvement. The commotion surrounding the competition wasn't solely about her. It was regarding the potentialities she embodies. This isn't true for women's sports in general. Caitlin just used her for the first time, a venue to promote women's sports. She hasn't had any influence on the WNBA. Not quite revolutionary as a novice, she broken viewership records in the drawing. Her games have millions of admirers and demonstrating the enormous appetite for basketball for women when it's